Alright YouTube, Acid Roots here. It's time for part 2 of Let's Play Final Fantasy Mystic Quest. So as you can see, we've been introduced to somebody here, and we're going to find out what's going on here, so... Yep. So what could this, who is this fellow that's trying to sell us something for 9,000 GP is right off the bat. I mean, honestly, yeah, the game basically assumes that you're not going to have that kind of income. I mean, I think even if you were to do all the battlefields, this wouldn't, you probably have to play this game for days upon, or hours upon hours to get to 9,000 GP, so that's why it's just one of those situations where... But yeah, so that's our party member, and now we're with Tristan. It makes me wonder if like the translation went wrong, because I've never actually heard of a name named Tristan before. I wonder if it actually was supposed to be Tristan with an N, but it just, I don't know. But, so, this is kind of the atmosphere with it, but now actually, and I may wind up doing these battlefields, but I'm kind of under-leveled. As we get further in this, the battlefields are really what's supposed to kind of keep you prompt and doctored up so you can actually take out some of these boss characters and later enemies, but I don't really do them, and I'm going to have to do them off screen because I just kind of figure, I mean, I could do them on screen, but it would probably just be a lot of grinding that you may not actually want to see. This game is actually relatively short without the battlefield, so just understand that, but it still would be wide. It still would be wise for me to do them, so I'll try to do a few. I may not do every last one in the battlefields, but we'll see. And just off and on, you'll see the occasional one. So, alright, yeah, welcome to part 2 of Let's Play Final Fantasy Mystic Quest. Hopefully you've got stationed and you're in for the night, or maybe you're not in for the night. Maybe you're leaving in like 20 or 30 minutes or 50 minutes, something like that. You're getting ready to go. I mean, either way, I think whether you're winding down or getting ready to go out, it's basically good sessions here. I mean, typically I always think of RPGs as like games that you watch on the weekend and you just kind of go through like a marathon session with them, you know, with good food and that sort of stuff. You know, good snacks, whatever else, good drink, beer, something like that. But, yeah, I also understand that there is the counter verse to that where you're wanting to do something besides video games for the night. So, either way, I like the concept of trying to provide, like, the entertainment. So, you know, you can get back to this. You go to your bar, you go to your local pub, your local dance club, you know, even strip club, doesn't really matter. Not like Final Fantasy is verboten from that sort of stuff, so, you know. But, yeah, you want to try to take out the frogs, just because they're poisonous, and once, you know, the computer character runs out of heal potions, it really sucks, so. And I don't think that there's an inn this early on in the game, so really, you want to make sure that you're not fighting too much. I mean, honestly, just resting. I mean, there is at least a bed in like Foresta, or the first town that you go to, Kaylee's town, that I think that you can actually rest in, but that's about it. I mean, you know, that first town has like the free bed, but I think the rest of them you have to pay. And of course, spoilers, but the next town with the next party member that you get after Tristan, the GP to stay the night there is 100 or 95 GP. So when I saw how much GP I only had 150. So that's, you know, well past half my income. I was like, nah, just to heal. And, you know, basically 2 fights later, I'm going to be down to 60 or 50% health again. I was just like, fuck it. It just is easier just to use cure potions. I mean, either that or just to traverse back to the first town and sleep in that bed. But eventually, when you get further across the land, that's going to be difficult. You are just going to have to spend the money. But this is very much a game about grinding. Is the whole thing about it. I mean, there are items and techniques that make it easier, but the game also assumes that you're going to go for the treasure chest. So I would have to say that may be something. I mean, the thing about it is I could probably beat this game with a relative promptness, but the thing about it is I'm also getting fucked over out of getting some decent magic by not going for the chests. So I tried to do it, but I also understand that it just makes the game a lot lengthier, because I don't feel like showing every single battlefield and every single fight on top of that. It's not worth it. I mean, I said that this was going to be, you know, a station game, but I know that, of course, too many fights kind of bogs down the experience, so it's about balance when you do RPGs. Like someone like H.C. Bailey, I think at this stage, considering he's been here for about 14 years now, probably understands the concept of what RPG battles to show and which ones not to. But it's something you have to pay attention to when you do role-playing games. Is, I mean, honestly, there's just no way most people would show every single fight in the damn game, especially if there's random battles. Just like forget about it. But luckily, you can see the enemies in this game, so if you wanted to, you could show off every single fight, every single battlefield, but it'd probably wind up being like a 60, you know, with me doing these about 15 minutes, it'd still wind up being like a 60, 70 part LP just doing that. Something like that, you know. But yeah, so we're just going to have fun with this. I mean, probably by the end of this episode, we are going to get to the boss and almost get the crystal, so understand that we'll be a fourth of the way done with the game, just in part 2. But no, I mean, we're not actually 25% done with this game. It's just in terms of the game's objectives we are. So we'll get the fire crystal in part 3, and then move on to the next area. But yeah, this is kind of the thing. So the worms, something to note, you want to use the axe for the worms just because, you know, there are like attacks that are more effective against enemies, and they prompt you to kind of figure that out. I just use common sense. You know, the bombs that Tristan gives you, they want you to use that because it's the new item. So it's kind of like Zelda in the sense that if you use the new item, typically the dungeon or the world that you're at where you get the new item is the most effective one for the most part, but that doesn't mean it's always like that. Not every single enemy is going to be weak against bombs, but you just want to try to go for the chest. If you overuse bombs, then you're going to run out, and you want to save them for like certain enemies. So with the worms, I just would use the axe because they're weak against those. And of course, another thing to note is the ninja stars. If Tristan runs out of those, he will ditch you, and then you'll just be stuck by yourself. So, I mean, honestly, there's 99 of those, but supposing you are foolhardy enough to get the ninja stars down to 0, the main character will fight alone. At least that's what I was under the impression of. I thought that was the case. I've never actually seen a playthrough. I don't know where I gathered that knowledge. I just kind of, something happened. I think it was because you, spoilers, but you party up with Tristan again later in the game, and so obviously it's a lengthier dungeon, and so you may not get your 99 stars enough, so he does ditch you when he runs out of his attacks. That's his only attack that he has. He doesn't have a physical attack, so I would almost wonder, I don't know if other party members will ditch you also. I mean, the odd thing about it is just the fact that Tristan needs, like, the only reason why he's pairing up with us is because he wants a special item, but I think he'll probably just show up and take it from us, and that's how it goes. But you essentially have to do the fighting by yourself. And there are some tough things here. I mean, you definitely don't want to get poisoned when you're by yourself, and you definitely don't want to be put to sleep or get confusion or something, so. But, yeah, there's quicksand, so it was interesting to have that effect for, you know, 30-year-old game. So, but yeah, I'm just gonna keep using the bombs. I mean, you get 50 of them, so it's not like you're gonna constantly need them. You just have to know when to use them. You definitely want to use them against the boss. So, but also remember that Tristan can get critical hits, which sometimes he does. Sometimes he'll miss, but sometimes he'll get critical hits. And it's effective. I mean, just due to how strong he is, he can generally wipe out the enemy. But luck, I mean, that's the reason why I didn't do the battlefields, because this world probably would be, or this dungeon would probably be way too simple if I would have gotten to like level 7 like Tristan was, something like that. So, but these skeletons are weak against the bombs. That's kind of the thing there. I'm just gonna get this easy chest here, so. It's such a mellow game. That's the thing about it, is this was really... I wish that they would do role-playing games like this again. You know, not necessarily like a full-blown 200-hour project, but just like another 35 or 40-hour project. Just something like this game. I mean, I wonder if like the PlayStation 2 had like decaf RPGs like this one. I mean, that's why I basically labeled this as, it's just a decaf RPG, because it's not as tough as it could be, and it's not quite as intricate either. So we need more decaf RPGs. I think it definitely is helpful. I think at least the PS1 had them, and that had, you know, that's as good as like the Super Nintendo is when it comes to role-playing games. But you know, they both were just solid choices. I mean, I can stand. I mean, there's a bunch of genres that I'll mess with when playing video games, but like I said, you know, when I order like stuffed crust pizza, and back in the day when I used to get beer with that, like a 40 ounce or two, I would always veer towards an RPG just because they're simple and you don't have to be sober to play them. Which just really happens to be the thing. I mean, role-playing games just have that. They're just so balanced, and they're lengthy enough to where you can play them into the wee hours of the morning. And on top of that, the games don't really piss you off like that. So it's just like, hell yeah. You know, you get Pizza Hut, Domino's, something like that at 6 o'clock in the evening, and by 2 o'clock in the morning, you're still playing the damn game. It's alright to do, you know? It's a lot of fun, and you can even bring a friend along, and just have you and a friend or a couple friends just be like, hey, you know, we're gonna, you know, surf the internet and, you know, stream a little bit, just do some shit. I mean, not just talking from like a 2003 angle, but also like a 2020, 2021 angle. Just the sort of stuff that goes on. It's encouraged. I mean, that's the thing about this project, is this game is from 92, but, you know, applying this 30 years later is ideal. So it's a great game, but it never got a sequel, which is stupid. But I don't know, I mean, the creators of Final Fantasy, I like them, but I don't know why they don't have the Midas touch like they did back in the 90s. And they even had a decent Midas touch in the 2000s, but they just haven't, you know, time has not been kind to Square, you know, the developer of this game. So, just to kind of say some of that stuff, you know, paying attention, people just want, I mean, these are just better. I mean, these games just had, I mean, look at the designs of some of these. The artwork was good, meaning the illustrators, the people that came up with the enemy concepts. Like, someone had to draw this character that you're getting ready to see here, and that's kind of the thing. I mean, artists were just better. Nowadays, it's all just computer developed and stuff, but it's kind of the thing. I mean, Final Fantasy, when you buy like the guidebooks, they always had the artwork, and there's like a certain artist that did like at least all the PlayStation Final Fantasies, and he was a very stellar artist. I mean, his stuff could probably be in museums. I'm surprised he doesn't sell his art or something like that, but this is kind of the thing. So, yeah, so we're not going to beat this boss in this episode, but we will get the Fire Crystal in the next episode, and like I said, a fourth of the game's total objectives. But it's not going to be that simple. I mean, these things are going to be spaced out, but you'll see how it goes. So, we're about wrapping up this episode, so I'm not going to say it yet, but yeah, so stay tuned, subscribe for more fun. Thanks for watching, have a wonderful night, and I'll see y'all in part 3. Hell yeah.